Hello, LinkedIn. Richard on his Churchill Fellowship tour. I am now in Scotland, Glasgow. It is a beautiful city. Yeah, the countryside is magnificent. The people have been great. I've met with about, I think, 4 or 5 organisations so far, and just really great, passionate people. And mentoring is big here. There's a lot of conversation about it politically. And then when you have mentoring, there's always lived experience attached to it. And just for people who haven't seen videos before, the lived experience I'm talking about is system impacted, child protection, prison, and marginalised communities. Now, what has been interesting, and this is through a few different countries, is the ideas behind recruiting lived experience mentors. So nearly every lived experience program has a mentoring component to it, except for public speaking. So public speaking, I watched a guy maybe last week, I think, very good public speaker. Not so much mentoring, more information delivery and using that lived experience to relate to people. But certainly other programs, mentoring. Now the thing is, well, how do you recruit volunteer mentors? How do you recruit paid mentors with lived experience? And there's a few things I've learned, and these may or may not apply in Australia, but this is just what I've learned. One thing I've learned is that some organisations will have an agreement with the university and do placement. Now, these people come and do a certain amount of free work in the organisation. Now, if you do that, it is said that you'll generally get a small amount of lived experience people, like marginalised communities, system impacted people, and you'll always get, you won't get a consistent flow of people who are dedicated. Like some people will be there just because it's their placement that they've got to do, which creates problems with service delivery. Now, other people, they attract volunteer mentors. So volunteer mentors has a few benefits, but it also has some drawbacks. So these aren't people attached to university. These are just volunteer people. Generally, it's 1 day a week, a couple of hours a day. Now, if your organisation has a reputation in marginalised communities, so some organisations out there, they have that reputation. They deal with marginalised communities. They deal with system impacted people. They generally attract lived experience mentors. They predominantly attract lived experience mentors. The other interesting thing is, and I found this out today, is for working with child protection kids, there's generally attachment issues there. They live in a world where people are paid to work with them. And it can be hit and miss, but they sense that, they understand that. Now, these two organisations I spoke to, and they're in Scotland, for child protection kids, they only allow volunteer people in. And that's because when the child finds out that this person is just volunteering and not paid, that has a very positive impact on that relationship. Now, I thought that was fascinating, really fascinating. And you can see why that would be so. And because I generally think, mentors should be paid, especially if you're using lived experience people. Like a lot of lived experience people, employment is key to them reintegrating. And this is a way, pay people from marginalised communities or system impacted people to help people from marginalised communities or system impacted. That just seems obvious to me. But that, using volunteer for kids in care was really interesting. When paid employees, so when you have paid mentors, lived experience mentors, things become a bit more challenging. So what they see, sometimes they see people who are just not really in it. They have the lived experience, yes, but they're not passionate about that community. They're not passionate about it. They just really need a job. And there's a few ways I've heard about vetting these. One organisation gets these lived experience people to volunteer with the church for 6 months. Volunteer with the church for 6 months. They do good. Then if there's an opening, then they can come and do paid mentoring. Another organisation, another 2 organisations, they only allow people who have been through their program to do paid mentoring work. So they have to go through the program. One is, I think it's a 12-month program, and then they can get in. Another one sort of has stages. So they're involved in the program for however long that is, and then they can work as a volunteer, helping other people. And then if it's proven that they are, they're engaged, they've turned their life around, they've desisted or whatever, then they can become paid mentors. Now, I thought it was pretty interesting, very, very interesting actually, in a good way to sort of vet the people who are serious and not serious. I hope that helped. I hope that video is giving you some ideas. I'll certainly be thinking about it. I'm off to another organisation to see tomorrow, an interesting one, and then I'm going to Norway. Very excited to see these Nordic countries.